Welcome, you're watching Vox News, your daily news updates with Rita Kamkumo. Our headlines today: after analyzing Madagascar's COVID organics, Nigerian researchers say that the herbal tea did not show any evidence of efficacy. Mediators sent to de-escalate political tensions in Mali failed to find common ground with the opposition that is still demanding President Keita's departure. Several people died during a protest against the movement of a power generator to another city in Sierra Leone after security forces opened fire. Our top story today: after analyzing Madagascar's COVID organics herbal tea, Nigerian researchers stated that they did not find any evidence of efficacy against coronavirus. In a report submitted to the Health Ministry on Sunday, Nigeria's National Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development said its analysis does not show any proof that the beverage can cure COVID-19. Obi Adigwe, Director General of Nigeria's state-run Pharmaceutical Research Institute, emphasized the lack of strong science backing up Malagasy authorities' claims that the drug can cure the disease. This report came after President Muhammadu Buhari ordered Nigerian health officials to investigate the efficacy and safety of the drink offered in May by Madagascar before allowing it to be administered on Nigerians. Madagascar has not yet responded to these findings. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo has tested negative for coronavirus after ending his 14-day quarantine. The Minister of Information, Kojo Pongo-Nkrumah, announced on Sunday that the president returned to regular office work from this Monday. President Akufo-Addo went into a precautionary self-isolation on the 5th of July after coming into contact with a person who had tested positive for COVID-19.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
In Zimbabwe, over 100,000 people have been arrested for violating the national containment measures imposed since late March to stem the progression of the new coronavirus, according to the police. Police spokesman Paul Nyathi stated on Saturday that the police are disturbed by the number of people who are violating coronavirus measures and urged the population to minimize the effects of the ongoing pandemic by restricting their movement, observing social distancing rules, wearing face masks, and avoiding illegal bars and gatherings. On the political front, the team of mediators sent last week by the Economic Community of West African States to ease growing political tensions in Mali failed to win over the opposition, which is still demanding President Ibrahim Boubacar Keita's resignation. ECOWAS mediators chief Goodluck Jonathan said on Sunday that the West Africa bloc could not call for President Keita's resignation as demanded by the opposition coalition. Instead, the mediators called for a new power-sharing government and a new constitutional court to end the ongoing crisis.
No form of unconstitutional change of accession to power will be accepted by ECOWAS. The mission recommends, pending the settlement of disputes in legislative elections, that the Presidency of the Republic and the Superior Council of the Judiciary each appoint 3 members of the Constitutional Court. 6 members of the court appointed thus satisfy the quorum requirement. The court thus reconstituted will have to deliberate and re-examine the results of the legislative elections. It is urgent to set up a government of national unity on the basis of consensus and taking into account the recommendations of the inclusive national dialogue and the following distribution proposals. 50% of the members of the government will come from the ruling coalition. 30% of the government officials will come from the opposition, and 20% of government officials will come from civil society. The mediation mission welcomes the adhesion of all the delegations meeting the measures proposed for the acceptance of the M5 RFP Strategic Committee.
However, the prospect of the proposals ending the political impasse looked highly uncertain on Sunday evening when Goodluck Jonathan admitted that after meeting several times with the opposition leaders, ECOWAS mediators could not reach an agreement. After days of talks, the June 5th protest movement had already turned down the mediators' offers on Friday, insisting that Keita must resign.
We have told ECOWAS that we would not want the Malian people to feel, at the end of this whole process, that ECOWAS has the sole objective of keeping a president in power against his people. ECOWAS must not be an instrument for protecting heads of state. It must be an instrument at the service of the interests of the people. That's what we told them. For the remainder, we are open.
Pour le reste, nous sommes ouverts M5 RFP.
The M5 RFP requests the support of the international community and friends of the Malian people to ensure 1. The resignation of Mr. Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta from the office of President of the Republic with his regime, 2. The dissolution of the National Assembly, 3. The effective end of the term of office of the members of the Constitutional Court.
3. L'effectivité de la fin de mandat des membres de la Cour constitutionnelle.
ECOWAS mediators objected the departure of President Keïta or the creation of an interim government on Sunday evening, explaining that this will trigger a major crisis in the country. In Sierra Leone, a riot sparked by the relocation of a power plant turned deadly over the weekend. Health authorities reported on Sunday that at least 4 people, including a teenager, were killed when security forces opened fire on protesters in the town of Makeni in the north of the country. According to witnesses, hundreds gathered on Saturday to try to block the movement of a power generator to another city, fearing it will jeopardize the area's electricity supply. When demonstrators began throwing rocks, the authorities opened fire, according to Matthew Kenu, department head at the University of Makeni. The Energy Ministry blamed the unrest on ill-motivated youth. It explained that the government had decided to relocate the power plant after consulting with officials in Makeni, which it said will continue to receive power supply from a nearby hydroelectric plant. A nighttime curfew has been enforced in the city, where prolonged power cuts are frequent. Civil unrest continued over the weekend in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Hundreds of lay Catholics marched on Sunday in the streets of the capital Kinshasa against the disputed choice of Ronsard Malonda as chairman of the country's electoral commission called CENI. Malonda is accused by the Catholic Church, the opposition and civil society of helping former leader Joseph Kabila to rig past elections, especially the December 2018 presidential election, whose disputed results triggered deadly protests across the country.
We are walking for the CENI. This time, we want a depoliticized CENI, a credible CENI, so that we no longer know the chaos that we experienced in 2018.
There were young people who were shot, killed in front of churches in order that we might have credible elections. And it's this memory that we carry. So we can no longer accept that the stage for the electoral chaos that was carried out in 2018 is once again set. There must be a reform of the organic law on the CENI. There is even a bill which is on the table of the National Assembly with opinions and consideration of the government.
The decision to appoint Malonda now rests with President Tshisekedi, who must validate this choice, approved by the National Assembly. In his response to a letter sent by Janine Mabunda, President of the National Assembly, asking him to invest Ronsard Malonda as head of the Electoral Commission, President Tshisekedi sided with the protesters, highlighting the controversial nature of Malonda's nomination.
My dear friends,
on the international scene, speaking on the 102nd birthday anniversary of the late Nelson Mandela in New York City, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres stated on Saturday that the coronavirus pandemic was shining a spotlight on global injustice and called for a more equal world.
But let's not fool ourselves. The legacy of colonialism still reverberates. We see this in the economic and social injustice, the rise of hate crimes and xenophobia, the persistence of institutionalized racism and white supremacy. COVID-19 is a human tragedy, but it has also created a generational opportunity, an opportunity to build back a more equal and sustainable world. The response to the pandemic and to the widespread discontent that preceded it must be based on a new social contract and a new global deal that creates equal opportunities for all and respect the rights and freedoms of all. developed countries are strongly invested in their own survival in the face of the pandemic, but they have failed to deliver enough support needed to help the developing world through the dangerous times.
Mandela's widow also addressed inequality and called for a fairer world.
As we commemorate Mandela Day amid this challenging season of COVID, let us take inspiration from Madiba's legacy and seize this time to dismantle the structural systemic barriers which reinforce inequality and disenfranchisement.
Ivory Coast former Prime Minister Sédou Diarra passed away on Sunday, aged 87, in Abidjan. He was appointed by current President Alassane Ouattara as the first president of the High Authority for Good Governance from 2013 to 2015. Diarra served as the head of government under the military transition led by General Robert Gueye from December 1999 until October 2000. He then became Prime Minister again from February 2003 to December 2005 in the government of national unity set up to end the then political crisis. Finally, on the football scene, the Zambia Super League resumed on Sunday, a day behind schedule after a game involving leaders Forest Rangers was postponed after 28 of the players and staff tested positive for COVID-19. The country decided to restart its 2019-2020 season behind closed doors after football was suspended in March to stem the progression of the virus. Zambia is the second country in Africa after Tanzania where spectators are permitted to restart its season. That's it for today. Thank you for watching Vox News.